This treatise has discussed informative messages thus far. It is time to move into persuasive messages now. It is important to note that what makes a message persuasive is that the intent of the purpose of the message is clearly to influence a decision of some sort, making information about the audience crucial to message success. A clear understanding of purpose of the message is also important. Walker proposes 6 sets of questions to ask when designing persuasive messages. Those questions to ask are: number 1, how will my audience initially react to my proposal? How does my audience feel about me, my company, or my product or service? What are your audience's needs? In what ways does your idea or proposal fulfill those needs? What benefits does your proposal provide to your audience? What obstacles or objections must you overcome? And finally, is this a sales proposal or a competitive message? If so, what do my competitors offer? How might I distinguish myself or my ideas favorably from my competitors? A persuasive message has 2 parts: a claim and evidence that supports that claim. There are primarily 3 types of persuasive appeals that can be made in a persuasive message. The first to be mentioned is logos, which is an appeal to the audience logic with facts and statistics. The next type is ethos, which appeals to the audience through credibility of the message sender or the position taken. Walker claims that one of the easiest ways to add ethos to a communication is to cite authorities or experts on the topic that support your position. Walker also claims that being fair and balanced, citing the pros and cons of the issue, will also add to message credibility. The final type of appeal is pathos, which refers to the emotional appeal of a message. This often requires telling a story or evoking a picture that the audience can identify with or feel empathy toward. Since there's so much emphasis on evidence in a persuasive message, the quality of the evidence must be high to ensure effective communication of the argument. Statistics must be scrubbed to ensure that the data is from a well-represented sample and that the statistics are without bias. Testimony should come from authorities, experts, or direct witnesses and should be clearly unbiased. In addition, when making analogies or comparison, the logic must be sound. It is important to avoid errors in logic, often called logical fallacies. Here are 10 of them. Let's look at each one of these in more detail, as this chart does seem a bit overwhelming. Let's begin with slippery slope. This is a situation where the logic implies that if this were to happen, then eventually, through a series of steps, blah 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 will happen. Hasty generalization. These are conclusions that are based on biased or inaccurate evidence or data. Post hoc ergo propter hoc. You've heard this one many times, I'm sure. Since A occurred after V, then V must have caused A. Genetic fallacy. A very popular one, it seems, today in America. This is a conclusion that's based on an argument that the origins, idea, institute, or theory determine the argument's character, nature, or worth. Begging the claim. Assuming the conclusion of, or part of the conclusion, that must be proved by the message. Circular argument. Restating the argument or the claim in the evidence rather than proving the claim. Either or. This one is a very popular one as well. simplifying down an argument only down to two possible solutions. So you make the discussion about just one side against the other side, when the issue is much more complicated than that. Ad hominem. This is an attack on the character of the person rather than their opinion or argument. Ad populum. This tactic avoids the real issue by appealing or evoking some sort of emotional appeal that is based upon patriotism, religion, democracy, or other values held by a societal group. Look at the news and find this one very easily. Red herring. Red herring is a diversionary tactic that avoids the key issues. Think of a smelly fish thrown in the middle of a debate. It should be noted that these logical fallacies, or errors in logic, can be misused and have been misused by dictators and leaders and politicians as well. In fact, on dailywritingtips.com, Mark Nicole lists 50 types of propaganda, and at the top of the page he asks, "Are you a propagandist?" These are important to note, that these errors in logic are used every day, and they can be very dangerous and have been in the past. These things being said, it should become evident why it is important to understand the messaging process, as well as how errors in logic can occur, because they are errors in logic, and they have no right in political debate. And if they do exist, they should be identified. It is important that we understand these things, because errors in logic should not drive political policy. It should also be noted that these errors in logic have been used in the past as propaganda, and it's a sad day when they begin to be abused that way here in America. For these reasons, it is our responsibility to understand these errors in logic and realize when they are happening, and we should take action to stop them, especially the policies that are driven by these errors in logic that can be considered propaganda. In coming videos, I plan to demonstrate how some of these errors in logic, or propaganda if you will, show up in our political debate. I'll see you in the next videos. And thanks for watching.